Hello, let's see the anatomy of the pharynx. For the better understanding of the anatomy of the larynx, we will study this topic with the introduction and extent, and then we will study the different measurements of the pharynx. Then we will see the external features from where to where it is extended and which are the structures related with the external to the pharynx, and then we will go for the parts of the pharynx, and then we see the internal structures of each and every part of the pharynx, and then we will see the structure of the pharynx, which includes the muscles as well as the few other structures which are going to form the wall of the pharynx. Then we will see nerve supply, blood supply, and applied anatomy of the pharynx. So pharynx is a musculomembranous tube. So it is made up of muscles as well as the membrane, and which is lined from inner side by the mucous membrane. So this pharynx is a musculomembranous tube which is lined from inner side by the mucous membrane. It extends from this base of the skull to the lower border of the C6 vertebrae. So this area, it is the extension of the pharynx, and this pharynx, it is continuous with the esophagus below the C6 vertebrae, that is at the level of the lower border of the cricoid cartilage. As it communicates with the nasal cavity as well as the oral cavity, so the food passage and the air passage both are passes through the pharynx. So here the air passes through the nasal cavity, it passes through the nasopharynx to the oropharynx, and from the oropharynx it will passes through the laryngeal inlet to pass through the larynx to ultimately reach up to the trachea. While the food, it passes through the oral cavity, it reaches up to the oropharynx, and from the oropharynx it will cross and continue the laryngopharynx and going to ultimately reach up to the esophagus. So this pharynx is the conduit for the food as well as the air. Now when we see the measurement of the pharynx, the height of the pharynx, it is around 12 to 14 centimeters, and the width of the pharynx, it is maximum at the nasopharyngeal area, and this width, it is around 3.5 centimeter, while the minimum width of the pharynx, it is at the level of the pharyngoesophageal junction, and that is around 1.5 centimeter. Now when we see the external features of the pharynx, it is extended above by this base of the skull, and within this base of the skull, this is the body of the sphenoid bone, and here this area, it is the basiocciput, and just below the basiocciput there is the arch of the first cervical vertebrae. Below this pharynx is extended up to the lower border of the cricoid cartilage. It is at the level of the C6 vertebrae, and below this level it is going to continue with the esophagus. In front, this pharynx is going to communicate with the nasal cavity through the choana, that is the posterior nasal aperture, with the oral cavity through the oropharyngeal isthmus, and with the larynx through the laryngeal inlet. So these three parts, they are separated from each other by this soft palate, and this area above the soft palate, that is called as the nasopharynx. The area from this soft palate to the upper border of the laryngeal inlet, and that area, it is the oropharynx, and the area below this laryngeal inlet up to the lower border of the C6 vertebrae, this area, it is the laryngopharynx. Now behind this pharynx, the structures lies are the vertebral column from the arch of the atlas to the lower border of the C6 vertebrae, and this vertebrae along with their intervertebral disc in between the two vertebrae, they are covered with the pre and paravertebral muscles, and this pre and paravertebral muscles, they are covered with the prevertebral fascia, and this prevertebral fascia, it is separated from the wall of the pharynx by the retropharyngeal space. So these much structures are present on behind the pharynx. When we see on each side of the pharynx, here in this figure, we can appreciate this is the carotid canal on each side, and this is the area for the styloid process. Here styloid process is broken down on both the sides, so this is the styloid process on each side, and here this is the posterior nasal aperture. So here the musculomembranous structure, that is pharynx, is lying from the base of the skull on each side, and it passes downward. So this area is the area for the pharynx. So on each side of the pharynx, this carotid sheath along with its contents lies. The styloid process along with the styloid apparatus structures are also lying. And when we go lower down, we can find the lobes of the thyroid gland in front of the laryngopharynx. While in case of the nasopharynx, from both the lateral walls, the auditory tube, it is going to communicate the middle ear cavity with the pharynx. Now let's see the interior of the pharynx. As we already talked, the pharynx is divided into three parts by the base of the skull, soft palate, the inlet of the larynx, as well as the lower border of the cricoid cartilage, or at the level of the lower border of the cricoid cartilage, into nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. So when we talk about the nasopharynx, this nasopharynx, it is also called as the epipharynx, and it is situated behind the nasal cavity and above the soft palate. When we see the different boundaries of this nasopharynx, this anterior wall, it is communicate with the nasal cavity through the choana. The roof and the posterior wall, they are continuous with each other, and it slopes downward and backward and having few important features within it. Within the roof as well as the posterior wall, one glandular tissue is present, and this glandular tissue, it is present within the submucous area, and this is called as the nasopharyngeal tonsil. This nasopharyngeal tonsil, it is prominent in case of children while it atrophies in case of adult. When it gets enlarged, it may obstruct the nasopharyngeal air entry, and at that time this enlarged nasopharyngeal tonsil, it is called as the adenoid. Now in case of this enlarged nasopharyngeal tonsil, in case of children, the patient is unable to take breath through the nose, and he is forced to take air from the mouth, and at that time the mouth is open all the time, and this type of the face in case of a children, it is called as adenoid facies. Now within this nasopharyngeal tonsil, one mucus diverticulum, it is present, and this mucus diverticulum, it is called as pharyngeal bursa, and the other name of this pharyngeal bursa, it is called as the pouch of the Laska. This pharyngeal bursa, it is lined with the numerous mucus glands, and sometimes the mouth of this diverticulum get closed with the mucus plug, and at that time the cystic swelling is present within the nasopharyngeal tonsil. One more feature is there within the roof. Sometime within the roof and the posterior wall of the nasopharynx, some glandular tissues are present, and this glandular tissue, they are structurally related with the hypophysis cerebri present within the hypophyseal fossa, and this glandular tissue, it is actually the remnant of the Rathke's pouch from the roof of the stomodium, and when this type of the glandular tissue is present within the nasopharynx, it is called as the pharyngeal hypophysis. when we see the floor of this nasopharynx, it is communicates with the oropharynx through this pharyngeal isthmus, and this pharyngeal isthmus, it is bounded in front by this soft palate, behind by this ridge, and this ridge, it is the Paswan's ridge, and this Paswan's ridge, it is formed by the palatopharyngeus muscle, and on the each side it is bounded by this palatopharyngeus arch. So this nasopharynx, it is going to communicate with the oropharynx through this pharyngeal isthmus. At the time of the blowing the air through the mouth, or at the time of the swallowing, this pharyngeal isthmus will get closed with the contraction of the tensor veli palatini, levator veli palatini, and stylopharyngeus muscle, and this will lead to approximation of the soft palate to the Paswan's ridge, and this will prevent the regurgitation of the food into the nose at the time of swallowing, and at the time of blowing the air through the mouth, this act will prevent the leaking of the air through the nose. Now when we see the lateral wall of the nasopharynx, it presents on each side and having very important features within it. So within this lateral wall of the nasopharynx, we can see the pharyngeal opening of this auditory tube, and this is around triangular in shape, and it is the pharyngeal opening of the cartilaginous part of the auditory tube, which is actually 1.25 centimeter behind this posterior end of the posterior nasal concha. This auditory tube will communicate the middle ear cavity with the nasopharynx, and this auditory tube, it is also responsible for maintaining the equilibrium of the pressure within the middle ear cavity and the nasopharynx, so we can say with the exterior. Now just above this tubal elevation, one glandular tissue is present, and this glandular tissue, it is covered with the mucous membrane, and this elevation, it is called as the tubal elevation, and within this tubal elevation the tubal tonsils are there. This tubal elevation, it covers the auditory opening from the upper border and the posterior border. This tubal tonsil, it is the guide for the opening of this auditory tube, which is used at the time of the catheterization of this auditory tube when the retracted tympanic membrane is there. So a surgeon will blow the air after passing the catheter through this auditory tube opening by the help of the tubal tonsil. It will cure the retracted tympanic membrane of the middle ear cavity. Now from this tubal elevation, one mucous fold, it passes downward and forward towards the soft palate, and this mucous fold, it is the fold because of the underlying levator veli palatini muscle, and this fold, it is called as the salpingo-palatine fold. And one more mucous fold, it passes from the tubal elevation and it passes vertically downward, and this vertical fold, it is because of the underlying the salpingopharyngeus muscle, and this fold, it is called as salpingopharyngeal fold. Now within this lateral wall of the nasopharynx, one more feature is there, and this is the fossa, a depressed fossa just behind the tubal elevation, and this fossa, it is called as the pharyngeal recess, or the other name of this pharyngeal recess, it is the fossa of the Rosenmuller. And this pharyngeal recess, it is present between the levator veli palatini and longus capitis muscle, which is actually present just underneath the mucous membrane of this lateral wall of the nasopharynx. So this is all about the structures within the nasopharynx.